Zen Buddhism and Nestorianism. The time of creation. The time that God speaks of is when time and place come together to create events. This is God's time of creation, and this time is always open to the future. It is a time that revelates the past while embracing all possibilities for the future. In this time of God, Moses asks, "Who am I?" Heidegger interpreted the self Dasein literally being there, based on temporality, and tried to investigate time as a transcendental horizon of the question of what being is. This time, let's take a look at Moses calling Heidegger's unfinished masterpiece, Being and Time, and the cause and effect of Zen Master JianYuan's enlightenment. Vocation of Moses. Moses, who was fostered by the Pharaoh's daughter, left the Pharaoh's daughter's palace, and went to live in the land of Midian. He married the daughter of Jethro, the priest of Midian. One day, Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law in the desert. When he came to the Mount Horeb, the mountain of God, God called him from the middle of a blazing bush. He said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt." But Moses protested, "If I go to the people of Israel, and tell them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' they will ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what should I tell them?" God replied to Moses, "I am who I am." Hyatriji. According to The Spirit of Wisdom by Professor Emeritus Kisachi Motohiro of Konan Women's University, representative of the Koinonia Society. The name of the God whom Moses encountered is translated as, "I am who I am." Exodus chapter 3, verse 14. But the original text does not explicitly state "I" as subject of the statement. Yahweh is the noun form of the verb haya, to become, but Hebrew verbs do not have a clear tense. The focus is only on whether an action has already been completed or is still ongoing. Haya does not mean existing, but rather that it continues to be generated indefinitely. The action of stopping includes not moving yet, moving has finished, and will move soon. Therefore, there is nothing other than the act of generating and moving. Tetsutaro Ariga considered Yahweh to be the subject that causes all haya to be haya, and called this view of God hayatology, distinguishing it from the Western ontological view of God. The time of creation. In the Hebrew concept, rather than Greek time, chronos, attention is paid to the time when things happen. This time is not physical time. All things are created and destroyed in each time when God's word is spoken. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. The time that God speaks, time and place become one, and events occur. This is the time of God's creation. And this time is always open to the future. It is a time that revelates the past, while embracing all possibilities for the future. In this time of God, Moses asks, "Who am I?" Being and time. On the other hand, according to Professor Zenichi Arima of Setsunan University, Heidegger interpreted the self Dasein literally being there, based on temporality, and tried to investigate time as a transcendental horizon of the question of what being is. The everydayness of Dasein is characterized as the interval between birth and death. In everyday life, the same day after day continues endlessly. As long as we are immersed in it, we forget the death that will surely come soon. However, forgetting death does not, of course, mean transcending death. Rather, it is escaping from facing death. Therefore, Dasein is already aware of death as a possibility. In other words, Dacian is facing death as a possibility, and in that sense, it can be said that Dacian exists in anticipation of the entirety of its own life. This is the situation that Heidegger calls being into death sein zum Tod. Death is the most extreme, insurmountable possibility, in which one's existence becomes absolutely impossible. However, by boldly accepting the impossibility of possibility, Dacian becomes possible as one's whole existence. In that sense, one becomes aware of one's original existence. This is called a precursor resoluteness toward death. Heidegger understands the possibility of being on the way to death, or being toward death sein zum Tod, in contrast to the factual being finished, zum Ende sein. Neither alive nor dead. On one day during the Tang dynasty of China, Zen Master JianYuan went to one of his temple followers' house, to express condolences, together with one of his disciples, called JianYuan Zhongxing, who was in charge of Dianzhua, one of the 6 administrators of a Zen temple, in charge of food and other matters. Like Dianzhua, that JianYuan was, he apparently couldn't be dealt with easily. Sure enough, when they arrived at the house, JianYuan tapped on the coffin and asked Dao Wu, alive or dead? Dao Wu said, I won't say alive, and I won't say dead. Why won't you? JianYuan demanded. Dao Wu said, I won't say, I won't say. Even as many people were weeping and mourning for the dead, Dao Wu and JianYuan neglected the funeral, and were bandying words, in front of the coffin. Such behavior seems to be quite strange, even though they were Zen monks. However, a funeral is an event of a milestone, in one's life, which everyone must definitely pass through. Thus the master and the disciple might have collaborated, and played, a typical Zen Buddhist-style gospel skit, in that occasion. However, on the way back, JianYuan asked Dao Wu again, Master, please say it to me right away, if you don't, I shall hit you. Dao Wu said, if you want to hit me, you can hit me. But I will never say. Thereupon JianYuan actually hit him. This is just where I should apply effort. Later Dao Wu passed away. JianYuan went to Shishuang Qingzhu, who had been a senior disciple of Dao Wu, and told him what had happened. Shishuang said, I won't say alive, and I won't say dead. JianYuan said, why won't you? Shishuang said, I won't say, I won't say. With these words, JianYuan came suddenly to an insight. One day, JianYuan took a hoe, and walked in the Dharma hall from east to west and west to east. Shishuang said, what are you doing? JianYuan said, I am seeking the sacred bones of the late master. Shishuang said, giant billows far and wide, whitecaps swelling up to heaven. How can you find sacred bones of your late master? JianYuan replied, this is just where I should apply effort. Blue Cliff Records Chapter 55, Tao Wu's Condolence Call. Zen Buddhism and Nestorianism Acts, Paul, and Genjo Koan, Chapter 5, Neither Alive nor Dead.